He ruled one of the greatest empires in the world, yet rarely set foot outside his palace. For Muhammad Shah Rangila, music, color, and desire were the empire, and its fate would follow him inside. Delhi's sun poured through the lattice windows of the Red Fort, illuminating courtyards alive with the scent of jasmine and rosewater. In one hall, silk banners swayed to the rhythm of sitars. In another, poets whispered verses of longing and valor. At the center of it all, Muhammad Shah Rangila reclined on a gilded divan, a cup of rose wine in hand, watching dancers twist and twirl like living flames. The emperor's eyes, half-lidded with pleasure, missed little. Every note of music, every ripple of silk, every smile or glance of the courtiers around him. Unlike his predecessors, Rangila rarely ventured beyond palace walls. He delegated governance to ministers and nobles, trusting in rituals, correspondence, and edicts, while the empire outside slowly shifted beneath his neglect. His days were measured by pleasure, culture, and indulgence. Women, music, poetry, and the vivid color of courtly life were his true empire. The outside world, the revolts, the provincial governors, the looming threats, felt distant and unreal, like whispers in the corridors. Accounts from contemporary chroniclers paint a palace both dazzling and decadent. Stories tell of Rangila openly enjoying the company of dancers and attendants, of evenings spent in private courts that seemed to hum with life and secrecy. Laughter and song echoed through the halls, while the empire's fate teetered precariously on distant battlefields and council chambers. Yet indulgence came at a cost. Governors grew restless, factions at court maneuvered secretly, and whispers of weakness spread across India. The emperor's absence from decisive action left the Mughal Empire exposed. In 1739, that fragility was cruelly revealed when Nadir Shah of Persia invaded Delhi. Smoke rose above the city. Streets ran with terror, and treasures, including the famed Peacock Throne, were plundered. The women, poets, and musicians Rangila adored were displaced or killed. The empire's heart had been laid bare, and the emperor could do little but watch from his palace walls. Despite tragedy, the human spirit endured. Artists preserved miniature paintings of courts and celebrations. Music continued in hidden chambers, and survivors rebuilt lives amidst ruins. Rangila's obsession with pleasure, while criticized, had also nurtured a cultural flowering that would outlive military defeats. His reign became a paradox. Politically weak, yet culturally immortal, a reminder that even indulgence can create lasting beauty. Muhammad Shah Rangila's story is a lesson in contrasts. An emperor can be both brilliant and flawed, vibrant and blind to peril, indulgent yet capable of creating enduring legacy. Delhi may have burned under invasion and political power waned, but in the echoes of music, poetry, and art, the colors of Rangila's world persisted. His palace, filled with laughter, song, and desire, was a sanctuary for the human impulse to create, to enjoy, and to survive. Closing reflection, 1020 sect. The walls of Delhi's palaces eventually grew silent. Yet the traces of Rangila's pleasures lingered in paintings, music, and poetry that survived the empire's collapse. Power can vanish, armies can fall, and empires crumble, but the human love for beauty, desire, and creation endures. Muhammad Shah Rangila may have ruled in indulgence, but he left a timeless reminder, even in decadence, culture. And the human spirit can shine brightest against the shadow of history. Muhammad Shah Rangila inherited an empire already hollowed by ambition and betrayal, yet he chose to rule through sensation, refinement, and beauty rather than force. From the moment he ascended the throne, his attention drifted toward movement, voice, color, and the living presence of cultivated adult femininity. The Red Fort became less a seat of governance and more a carefully curated world where elegance could still be controlled. Rangila's gaze lingered not with haste but with intensity, studying posture, breath, and intention in every performance. Zeenat Begum's disciplined movements embodied youthful vitality sharpened by mastery, commanding attention through precision rather than innocence. Her confidence reflected a strength Rangila admired deeply, because it existed without armies or decrees. Each measured step and deliberate pause reassured him that order could still exist somewhere within his reach. Alia Khanum's voice offered a different refuge, weaving restraint and longing into melodies that quieted his restless mind. Rangila listened beyond sound, absorbing silences and undertones that mirrored his unspoken fears. These women became anchors, stabilizing his emotions as the political world beyond palace walls unraveled. Reports of rebellious governors reached him daily, yet they struggled to compete with the immediacy of beauty before his eyes. He did not deny the empire's decay, but he chose immersion over confrontation. Each night, he commissioned grander performances, believing refinement might delay inevitable collapse. Desire for beauty slowly transformed into dependence as sensation replaced strategy in his priorities. Rangila favored women who combined allure with intellect, presence with restraint, and elegance with self-command. He surrounded himself with art because art still obeyed him when men no longer did. The palace glowed brighter as the nation darkened, becoming an island detached from consequence. Rangila mistook control over aesthetics for control over destiny. Zeenat Begum's performances grew more intricate, mirroring the emperor's need for perfection amid instability. Alia Khanum's poetry carried unspoken warnings, yet Rangila received them as comfort rather than counsel. Courtiers adapted to this rhythm, learning that beauty earned favor more reliably than wisdom. Time passed not in seasons of governance, but in cycles of music, dance, and admiration. Rangila's fascination became ritual, repeated nightly as a shield against reality. The empire's borders weakened, while the palace interiors grew increasingly elaborate. When whispers of Nadir Shah's advance reached Delhi, Rangila responded with denial wrapped in elegance. He ordered richer silks, brighter lamps, and longer performances, as if intensity could erase threat. The illusion shattered when invasion finally arrived with fire, steel, and merciless certainty. Music fell silent as screams replaced melody throughout the city. Rangila watched helplessly as the world he avoided confronting consumed the world he adored. Nadir Shah's conquest stripped away luxury without hesitation or reverence. The palace lost its glow, revealing emptiness beneath ornamentation. Rangila's power dissolved in moments, exposing the cost of prolonged retreat. Zenat Begum fled with memory rather than jewels, carrying discipline where wealth could not follow. Alia Khanum preserved song through silence, refusing to let voice be erased by terror. After devastation, survivors returned not to rebuild thrones, but to rebuild meaning. Art re-emerged quietly, sustained by those who remembered its discipline. Rangila remained alive, yet forever altered by the collapse he witnessed too late. Stripped of authority, he finally understood the fragility of the world he curated. Beauty survived not because of his power, but because of human resilience. The women he elevated became vessels of continuity rather than indulgence. Dance transformed into teaching, song into remembrance, poetry into endurance. Rangila's obsession revealed its final form as regret tempered by understanding. He realized culture must be guarded, not hidden behind walls of denial. The empire no longer responded to him, but its memory still did. History would condemn his choices without mercy. Yet history rarely measures what survives beyond conquest. Rangila's reign demonstrated that power can vanish while identity persists. What he escaped through desire later escaped destruction through memory. The collapse revealed the difference between possession and preservation. Rangila had possessed beauty, but others preserved it. Empires built on dominance crumble loudly and quickly. Cultures built on discipline endure quietly and stubbornly. Rangila's fascination unintentionally nurtured that discipline. His court became a seed rather than a sanctuary. Though weakened, the Mughal spirit survived through art rather than arms. Rangila's failure as a ruler contrasted sharply with his impact as a patron. Desire guided his gaze, but legacy followed his unintended consequences. Beauty outlived ambition because it belonged to people, not power. Rangila witnessed survival where he expected only loss. The women he admired became the keepers of what mattered. Through them, identity resisted erasure. Rangila learned too late that escapism shapes history as surely as conquest. His indulgence delayed action but preserved memory. Collapse exposed truth without cruelty or comfort. The emperor faded, but the culture refused to follow. Rangila's name endured not through victory, but through contradiction. He embodied weakness entwined with preservation. His obsession revealed humanity beneath the crown. In seeking beauty, he revealed vulnerability. In vulnerability, culture found space to survive. Rangila's story warns against retreat while celebrating resilience. His reign became a lesson written in art rather than law. Desire distracted him, yet desire also nurtured memory. The empire vanished, but its spirit lingered. Rangila's palace fell silent, yet echoes remained. Those echoes shaped generations beyond his lifetime. Rangila's flaw became his paradoxical contribution. He failed to defend land, but preserved identity. Beauty became resistance when power collapsed. The emperor's gaze shaped survival unintentionally. What he loved survived him. What he ruled did not. Rangila's legacy rests not on conquest, but continuity. Empires fall loudly, but culture whispers forever. Muhammad Shah Rangila remains remembered through art that outlived his throne. His story proves that obsession can destroy authority, yet preserve humanity. Desire blinded the ruler, but nourished the civilization. In collapse, beauty found permanence. Rangila lost everything except the memory that refused to die.
If this story made you pause for a moment, subscribe for more stories that matter.